This is The Legacy of Greece by Ashlyn, Alyssa, Katie Colt, and Emma Riffle.
A jury is a group of people chosen to decide guilt or innocence in a trial. The jurors are selected randomly so that the results would be impartial. There were no lawyers. The accuser and the accused represented and defended themselves. Both parties talked for themselves and relied on witnesses. The jury was not allowed to discuss the case. Very few people were sentenced to prison, and there were no appeals, and the entire process was completed in a day.
Literature is written works. Homer was a famous writer who wrote forms of poetry about the gods. Aesop was a slave but also a writer who wrote fables, and each fable taught a moral lesson. The Greeks were among the first people to keep track and research their past. They'd sometimes write down this information into history books. This was a base for future studies of history.
The arts. The Greeks loved the theater. The greatest playwriters were Sophocles, Aeschylus, and Euripides. They all wrote comedy. The Colossus Rhodes was a 100-foot-tall bronze statue of the sun Helios. It was once considered one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Democracy. Citizenship in democracy's birthplace is in Greece. A lot of Greek citizens met often to vote on laws. Greek citizens in Italy spread democracy to the Romans. These thoughts turned into modern ideas that we have today. This was also the birthplace of the foundation of American constitutional democracy. The Greeks established the principle of equality politically. An example of this was the poor was able to serve as well as the rich. They limited office terms and put the branches of government into 3 branches, which were lawmaking, executive, and judicial. In the U.S., the representative democracy is based on the Greek system.
Hellenistic culture. Hellas is Greek for Greece. The 3 centuries after Alexander the Great's death are called the Hellenistic era because the known world was dominated by Greek culture. Alexander founded more than 70 cities, each with Greek designs such as temples, gymnasiums, and theaters. The ultimate Hellenistic city was Alexandria, Egypt's new capital. Alexandria became one of the largest, wealthiest, and most cultured cities in the ancient world. Alexandria's multi-ethnic mix of Greeks, Egyptians, Jews, and others created a cosmopolitan or worldly atmosphere, and the city was the cultural and trade center of the Hellenistic world.
Philosophy comes from the Greek word meaning love of wisdom. Philosophers try to understand the universe and our place within it. Socrates was an Athenian philosopher who was falsely accused and convicted of corrupting the youth. Plato believed that this world was a shadow of a more superior world, and Aristotle created the study of biology, law, physics, and politics.
Architecture. Greeks built temples designed to be admired on the outside, all of which followed a similar plan. What held up and supported the temples were columns. There were 3 types of columns: Doric, Corinthian, and Ionic. The Greek architecture continues to influence the style of buildings today.